Sweet. Welcome to libp2p. This is the last of the calls today on the sprint. I don't think any of you are new, but we have an Etherpad. Check out the Etherpad. We'll be following through it for the agenda notes. We may also go to a waffle board or post other links. We'll post them in the Etherpad. Emily has already agreed to take notes. Thank you, Emily. And the leader for this call is going to be Diaz David again, I believe. So Diaz David, take it away.
Diaz David. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Let's do the same model as just IPFS. Go through a quick update and then jump into waffle board and also hear from Gavin and the PubSub testnet and all that stuff is going. Cool. Update. So as we said in Go IPFS and just IPFS, we spend a lot of time on getting the interop. Psych.io works. Speedy works. Like you can now open, like use just peer-to-peer and go peer-to-peer. We basically all the connectivity features. Again, there is no DHT, but like you can dial and open stream back and forth, and that's awesome. You on it. Stream isn't working. Should I wait for the stream to work? Can I? It's working now. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Okay, that was the. You already got that spiel from the last meetings. Next update. Richard, like, are you around still?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. How is the set of the website? I'm not entirely sure. I know you have ported the old.
I haven't had time. I'm going to be focusing on it tomorrow morning. So I'll set aside like 3-4 hours tomorrow, and I will ping you tomorrow afternoon, and we can go through iteration 4.0. Does that sound good? Yeah,
sounds good. Do you need anything from me in terms of content?
I already got it from you. I just need to actually implement it. I was working on blog posts last week, so I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Sweet. Yeah, let's try to schedule something to review after you do that. Because it would be like really awesome to have by DEF CON to like people to be able to start.
Let's schedule tomorrow afternoon. If you have time, I'll be around. You're on my time.
Yeah, so I do it. And we are in the same time zone. I believe, right? Yeah. So awesome. Let's make sure that happens.
I'll send you an invite now.
So in PubSub, there is the PubSub implementation floating that we are doing, and there is the PubSub testnet that Gavin is working. Gavin, want to give us an update on that?
Yeah. So the testnet, I'll put the repo into the Etherpad here, but it's been making progress. So basically, right now you have the ability to spin up a testnet of size n, and you can pass it different topologies. So that's kind of the basic line is like you've got network, instantiated network of size, and then give it a topology, and it'll build this thing out. So this week, it was a little slammed last week, but this week my goal is to implement 3 or 4 more basic topologies that you can choose from. Anybody else can add topologies that they want. It's a pretty simple interface. And then from there, get some example docs up this week. And also then I was talking with Herman about Docker and containers, but he was a little pressed last week too. So hopefully get to that either later this week or early next. But either way, by the end of this week, we've kind of got the infrastructure that people can kind of pull that, work on it. But that's where we're at.
Awesome. So, yeah, I need to check how you do the topologies. Like, if you have examples on the repo, right? And then the issue, like how to create. Yeah, because like probably I'm creating tests for the PubSub implementation, the floating one, and like I'm just like spawning nodes as well and like connecting them and like seeing the messages passing through. But like if we can import the PubSub testnet and then use those nodes.
Yeah, that'd be
the float PubSub and like see it working and like test out with all your topologies.
Do you want to circle up after this and figure out like how to kind of get that wired up, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Because after all, like you already have like all of those thousands of nodes being spawned, throwing PubSub on top and seeing the messages passing through. Do you have anything for monitoring, like to see the flow? Like I know that you spawn the nodes, but like, is there a way to see how messages are like traversing the network?
No, we could figure something out though. Right now it's got a memory, like a memory profiler built in, so you can kind of watch how memory is building up and being used. And then basic, like you can turn on and off logs and things like that. But that's kind of a next level that could be added.
That's it. Like it would be very cool. This is like an idea, but like it would be very cool, like if it has like a pipe to like just exposes a web page with some D3.js or something that like you can see the nodes, but now they are connected.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. A pretty cool demo and also a pretty cool debugging tool. Cool. All right, so let's get it done. Let's jump into Waffle. Let's jump into Waffle. So I can share my screen again. All right. When I share my screen, do you see my whole screen or just my browser? Just out of curiosity.
You can select different windows. Right now, we're seeing your entire browser.
Okay, my entire browser. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so again. Same thing as just IPFS. We have this backlog now, which are the things that we don't really have a milestone for, just like things that we keep finding or that we remember that we eventually will process and make a target to ship them. If someone handles them, for example, you can see here, Francisco, one of the JS IPFS contributors, is like checking the railing. Railing is like the bootstrap nodes, like connecting to nodes as like a node spawns. And the multicast DNS discovery, we got that working before. But then when the multicast DNS module in Node was upgraded to respect the RFC, it kind of got some differences with the Go implementation. And I think Jeremy already got those things polished. And so it's just a question of like testing it out again and like seeing if it all works so nicely. Cool. You can see like, so like during this quarter, we are focused on these 3 milestones. Well, almost 4. So there is milestone 1, which is getting things like interop and the SecIO. It's pretty much there. There is milestone 2, which is the improved connectivity of Go. Milestone 3, which is the website, and milestone 4, which is, I need to check again to remember the title, but I believe it is the getting the libp2p organization with all of the community stuff and all of the guidelines and like pointing people to the specs and so on, like polishing all of that. So it's a nice experience for someone that's checking libp2p. Cool. So milestone 1, this was already handled. So, like milestone 1 issues are pretty much the things that we already have discussed on just IPFS. It is like the ability to dial without a peer ID, integrating ping.
No.
What?
You shouldn't be able to.
What?
I'll comment.
Okay. You are able to do that.
No.
You are able to do that. So Jeremy is like sharing that.
You can't do that. That's not a thing you should be able to do.
Okay. Let me clarify maybe for you. Like the thing that Jeremy is commenting here is if there should be a way to dial to a peer without knowing the peer ID beforehand.
No. You have to have the peer ID.
Oh, but like the Go IPFS can dial, it works.
No.
We have a test that is on just IPFS and it works. That's why.
It's a bug and I'm going to fix it.
Okay. So Victor, if you are listening, you might have less work than you actually done because we don't need to implement that then. Okay. So let's
show me the test.
It's on the interface IPFS core, the swarm tests, and like it dials to a thing without the peer ID, and it passes. Okay.
Where?
Can we do this async so that people?
Yeah, sure.
But like it's source and then swarm, and then there's like one of those. You can check the multi-other. All right. You want to give a quick update on milestone 2, Jeremy? Like what you need to achieve some of these things?
I have no idea.
No idea.
What are you talking about?
The improved connectivity things. So I can like open, if I change my tab, you guys, yeah, you probably can see. So I can go here. Normally people are more on top of just IPFS and peer-to-peer, so better like to see the roadmap. So I can see like milestone 1 the interop, milestone to improve connectivity in IPFS. There's a lot of discussions that you need to have in order to achieve these goals, right?
Yep.
Do you think that we are still doing them this quarter?
No, I don't think we ever agreed to do them this quarter.
Okay, so maybe we need to revisit that.
I was never.
Maybe like we should like
that
drop,
being this quarter.
maybe move this like to another number and defer it.
Yeah, I don't know how that ended up there and being assigned to this quarter without me knowing about it.
You might have forgot, but there's definitely a lot of discussion around this during the last gathering. Okay, never mind then. Sorry everyone for if this was distracting. We'll definitely revisit these items. The milestone 2 was about like being able to close connections, which is something that's not easy. You would thought that like the hard part was getting connections done. Apparently closing is even harder. Cool. So milestone 3 is the website. Richard is going to announce that tomorrow morning. As like the focus for this week is PubSub and the website, and there is someone that had it improve crypto interfaces and speed. Do you want to bring it up, Friedel?
Yeah, that's why I edited it. That's why I put it there.
Yeah, like I'm asking, do you want to like to bring it up now?
Oh yeah, I can talk about it.
Would you like to talk about it?
Okay, so there are two things to this. So the first one is, so yeah, we have Sec.io in JavaScript, and that's pretty cool. The other thing is the current crypto that we're doing in JavaScript is slow. Like I did some basic performance tests, and 80% of all runtime, like of V8, was spent doing crypto of the whole program. So like, that's not super great. So I want to improve that. This is a long-termish effort, like in getting everything faster. But there's things that we should do that we can do soon. And the first thing that we need to do for this is make all crypto interfaces async. So currently, NodeForge, as well as parts of the Node.js crypto libraries, expose synchronous APIs. They do some blocking things when generating some things. This is nice if you use a constructor to generate things like RSA keys. But web crypto, which we will want to use sooner rather than later, because it's the fastest way to do crypto in the browser currently, only exposes promise-based asynchronous interfaces for everything. That means we have to move all synchronous interfaces to async interfaces, even if it's just a fake, just calling a callback or returning a promise based on the asynchronous interface in the background for now. To do this, we need to change some things, especially where we use constructors at the moment for things like peer info and peer ID. And there's this issue open. This is like, from a technical standpoint, just moving those interfaces is simple. I just want to call it out and let people let that sink in and like tell me if there's something super bad about it. Just tell me if there's something else we need to consider before doing that.
One thing that we can do to achieve that quickly, then like going through all the refactoring adventure, is because peer IDs can be created from like a public key that already exists, or from a JSON object that has the public key and the private key, so it doesn't like do any processing. You can actually do first the creation and then creating the peer ID object that wraps those two.
Yeah, we can do that. So we can remove the ability of generating new keys from the constructor and saying the constructor always needs to be we always need to pass the finished key to the constructor. We can do that, but there is a catch here. So the catch is, if we want to, the Web Crypto API also has the concept of importing keys, which you have to do if you want to use any sort of key. You have to import it. For example, if you do an HMAC and use a secret, you have to import that secret as a key. That's how the Web Crypto API works. So those interfaces are asynchronous as well, meaning if we want to have the take a web crypto API key and import it into a peer ID, that import call actually has to be asynchronous as well, making this a not perfect solution, because we can get problems there again. Because we don't want to, if we were using web crypto, we don't want to import the keys and then export them and then put them into a peer ID, and if we use them, import them again, because that's overhead. We will need to have a standard key format and import it once or generate it once, and that import and generation step, both of them will always be asynchronous.
And like from what I understand, like the reality is like definitely we take a lot of time on generating keys. It is one of the things that takes most time on building tests. And I was actually going to open an issue today about let's just like generate a bunch of keys beforehand for tests and like read them from disk and like just test it in, because generating RSA keys, even we reduce the size, it takes time. But I guess like one of the things that really takes a lot of time during the whole like bitswap tests, etc., is the like ciphering, encrypting and decrypting, like that operation, and that's on like generating keys, and that definitely, yeah, that definitely requires a lot of like refactoring details, so that we can.
It's not that complicated to actually. We don't use that many different crypto things in SecIO, so that this is just like this huge massive amount of work. And this is why I was saying, like, let's get all the interfaces to be async, and then and everything to use libp2p crypto, and then I can go piece by piece. So, for example, I can then go, and this is like maybe a day's of work, like replacing inside libp2p crypto the RSA generation with native things where available on Node and in the browser, right?
So, how much time would you need to do the first step, which is migrating the interfaces to be async? Is that something that you can like do in half a day and get it done, or?
It's mostly a search and replace thing, right? So because we have many modules, it's going to take a couple of hours.
Run all the tests again and making sure that everything is nice.
Yeah, so that's the major thing. In terms of actual work, it's not that much, right? So what we could do here is I could port the main things, so peer ID, peer info, and libp2p crypto, and then someone could help me out, like just going through all the modules and replacing.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. So I guess the point I was trying to make is like if it's more than half a day, not before DevCon. That's what my point. Like, if it takes you time from like getting bitswap to interop, just leave it for after. Because
so bitswap interop I will do before, right? So I will. Yeah. I really hope, unless I had something very bad, to get bitswap interop happening tomorrow. If it takes me longer, it takes longer, but I will do that. That's like my priority, right? So
actually, after the get the interop, we should use the PubSub testnet, which is the IPFS testnet, I guess, because it spawns a lot of nodes, to do bitswap tests as well, like to like make sure we don't have memory leaks all over the place. That since already Gavin has like a memory profiler and everything, like to make sure that bitswap is robust enough so that people can like load just IPFS and not have their browser dead after 5 minutes.
Sure. I don't know how to do that, but I would love to.
Well, it's spawning a lot of nodes and like creating files from one, and like getting all the other nodes to start like requesting. Like imagine like you have a tree, and this one is creating blocks, and this one like wants these blocks, and then like a little bit after you say, hey, you also want this blocks, and like you also want this blocks, and then like finally when there is like a line, like the blocks will start passing through till the last one will receive. So, but like you see that like this one doesn't go crazy if this one doesn't send the blocks right away, because this one will go on to send the blocks after all of the other nodes have received the blocks through. And it's kind of like PubSub. It's like testing. PubSub and bitswap have a lot of similarities. And because like bitswap moves more data, it's more intensive. and we need to make sure that works well and that we detect like memory leak and crazy errors. Cool. So we are 5 minutes from 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any other questions, issues, things that they want to bring to the chat? Again, checking the waffle board, the first milestone, basically it's like overlapping what we already reviewed on just IPFS. There's a lot of interdependencies there. That's why like doesn't really matter like to go through all those issues again. Milestone 2 we'll revisit. Milestone 3 is the website being out tomorrow. Milestone 4 is getting like with peer-to-peer with a nice like community repo and like pointing to our guidelines in IPFS and like pointing people to where they should have like make questions and have discussions and so on. And those 4 milestones are basically this quarter till October, till mid-October. Aren't they? Well, let's say milestone 2 will not be.
No, but what about IPLE?
This is only peer-to-peer that we're talking.
But IPLE will touch parts of it? No, not at all.
Well, peer-to-peer is on just IPFS. I meant just the peer-to-peer ones.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, do we not have to do anything on libp2p land for making IPLE happen?
Not quite. For example, no. We definitely like implementing the seeds could influence a little bit because then the topic descriptors, which is that block that describes who is authorized to publish, will have a seed instead of like just a multi-hash. But like seed v0 is just a multi-hash. So it can be invisible for with peer-to-peer that if there is a seed or a multi-hash. And then there is a question if we should rename the peer IDs to /peer-to-peer and have a seed instead of like a multi-hash for the ID of the peer, which is something that we kind of like brought up several times and everyone said, oh yeah, that makes sense. But no one has like really said, okay, like let's invest the time to change that right now because that changes all the peer IDs. We still have to think about what that means in terms of migration. So yeah, that detail might not come this quarter. Make sense? Cool. All right. So, Gavin, do you like to revisit or check the PubSub stuff after this call? Like, do you have time, or do you like? You have time? Cool. Yeah. So, thank you, everyone. We are 2 minutes from the end of the meeting. We are getting super efficient on these things. I see that Matt has a very happy face and saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Thank you. Have a fun week, and let's keep chatting.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.